Hello, hello, hello. Hey, y'all. This is Tamika, the face behind Hey HR. Okay, so I think that I can hear Corey. Let me get him in here. Corey, is that you I'm hearing? Hello, hello, hello. Hey, y'all. This is Tamika, the face behind Hey HR. Okay, so I think that I can hear Corey. Let me get him in here. Corey, is that you I'm hearing? Alrighty, if you guys are here, then definitely tap in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Oh. And I'm so excited for tonight. I think that we're actually going to get Corey on without problems. I'm excited. Done a lot of work to try to get this thing together. And I'm so excited that we're able to finally get it rolling. So I hope y'all got your drinks with you because I definitely have mine. All right, let's see. I'm not seeing that. Oh. If y'all in here, definitely tap in the chat. Let me know you're here. So I'm so excited because tonight we have Corey Jones on, and I think that I am going to just absolutely love this because he's going to talk about so many things with corporate talent acquisition / recruiting. And I just think that we're going to learn so much from him. Oh, no. Okay, cool. So. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So Corey, you on here? Yay, Corey is in. Corey, we can't see you though. I can only see your cover photo.
Really? Let me see.
You have your video on?
Yeah, all I see is it's a select microphone, but I don't see why I don't see video. Usually I see video.
Oh, seriously. And I know I definitely set it up so that you can be on. That's got to be on your end because it's showing me that like you're allowed to join in.
Okay, let me see. Let me try hopping out and getting back in.
That sounds like a plan.
All right.
Okay, y'all, Corey is just trying to get on. We just had him on. Y'all can hear him again. I feel real confident that I did everything right. Finally. And I know y'all like, Tamika, enough of this already. But I hope that this is encouraging folks that there just going to be some times that you think you got it together and you might not have it together. And it's okay to show the world, you know, that you have struggles just like them. Because let me tell y'all something, this whole YouTube thing ain't easy at all. And so for me to come out here and do it, I'm hoping that we get some value out of where people understand. It's a struggle at sometimes, but it's really not that hard. You just gotta be willing to fail in front of some folks. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Corey, I see you back in. Now your mic is off. Now it's back on. Now it's off again. Hello. How
All
are
right.
you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. It gives me joy to see you on here. Okay. Crazy thing is, I'm not seeing you on my live, but that could just be me. So let's see if I can get this on. It's saying I'm live on YouTube. And I was
Yeah, I
just
see
on.
that too.
It's showing you on that end too?
Yes, it's showing that. It's saying that you're live on YouTube.
Okay. If y'all can see Corey, tap it in the chat and let me know that you can see him. If you can't, then let me know that you can't see him. And let me know if you see something in the chat, Corey. I'm looking at the behind the scenes of this thing to make sure that I got all the settings right.
Yeah, I think it's showing. I think whenever I talk, it pops up because I looked on YouTube and I saw myself pop up
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got a text. They can see us. Oh, good. Okay. I guess I can't see it the way that they can see it, but this works for me. I'm going to tell you this works for me. It's not letting me share my screen. And old girl went and got some slides together. And they were actually pretty damn fly. I'm just going to go ahead and congratulate myself since nobody else can see my slides. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But
all good.
I got some slides together because I definitely wanted to kind of take this into a role so that folks can kind of see the direction that we're going in. But I'm so happy to have you on. I thank you so much again, like for the gazillion time for your patience, because I know I couldn't get my shit together.
All good. Trial and error.
Trial and error. So as long as they can see us, that works for me. And I already got a text that they can see us. And so I'm just going to dive in and tell folks all about who you are, if you don't mind. Okay. And if I miss something, then let me know. If I talk too much, just cut me off. And if I, miss something, then fill it in for me. Let the folks know what's going on. But
Gotcha.
Corey Jones is an amazing guy. And I'm going to just start really quickly on how I found you. So I was actually starting my YouTube channel. I literally just sent you a message about one of your replies saying that you were like, you had researched YouTube for months before you actually launched. And so that's what I was doing at the same time. And I kind of wanted to see like different options for how to set it up, what equipment to use, things like that, right? And I stumbled onto your video where you were talking all about your equipment, your mic, and all of this different stuff. And so I was like, you know what, he pretty fly. I kind of like this stuff. I'm not a minimalist, as you can see with all my junk in the back.
Nah, you don't have no junk.
I'm struggling with this minimalism thing. And so I'm not there, but I absolutely love the fact that you talk about self-development, you talk about lifestyle all on your YouTube channel. And I just got floored when you went home to visit mom for a quick second. And I was like, oh, he's from something, South Carolina. That's why I like him, because he's from South Carolina. But that was a super interesting video, and all of your videos are so interesting. I absolutely love when you talked about, self-discipline, and that hit home for me because sometimes you struggle with continuously, pushing on your grind or what have you.
Right.
But to continue telling folks all about you, because that's about your YouTube channel, that's about all the niches that you cover. You have over 50,000 subscribers, which is so amazing and awesome. He's been doing this YouTube thing, y'all, for the last 4 years. Am I right?
Yeah, 4. Yep.
Old girl did a little research, still a little research. But he's been doing this for 4 years on YouTube. But his main job, his everyday job, is talent acquisition. And so Corey had a bit of a journey, and it's kind of weird because some areas of his background really match mine. And so he started in hospitality, not in talent acquisition, but he started in hospitality in a different role. And that is where I am now. I'm in the space of hospitality. We do vacation rentals, where I am now. And so that was interesting. And then he has done a couple years at other agencies, like you did student recruiting or campus recruiting for USC. And then I'm going to botch this other name because I'm pretty sure you saw that I was on your LinkedIn, and I was all on it trying to get this name together. But is it Deloitte? I can't remember the name of that company.
It's Deloitte.
Deloitte. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was at Deloitte and he did talent acquisition there as well. And right now he's at Accenture. And it's so funny because you said that to me like several times the last time, and I didn't put it together. So I used to work for a clinical research organization called NCGS, and we were trying to get a bid through Accenture, and they came in and did like this full-fledged audit. That was like one of my first really rigorous audits and stuff like that. And so I'm super excited to see that there are some connections that we have there, but I've never ever worked in full talent acquisition. So I'm definitely going to hit you on that. And now before we get too professional on these folks, because I don't know about you, but I got my little drink. I ain't even showing up. They better sponsor a girl if they want me to show this label. But you know,
what that is? Apple cider? What that is?
It's just apple red.
Yeah, red.
I was like, listen, the last time I had a nice mixed drink, the time before I had a nice mixed drink, then the last time I wound it down on some wine. So listen, I was like, listen, I just need a chip. We about to make this thing happy hour as much as we can.
Gotcha. I ain't even had a chance to get my drink. I hopped from another call straight to this one. So
no, you gotta have a drink for happy hour.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm a sip off your reds virtually. So it's
Amen. I'll take it. Oh, that might not go together, but you're right. You can do it. But you know, busy people do busy things. So if you're jumping off one call, I appreciate you for jumping on this one. But ladies, not to say I'm putting that man out there, but he's a bachelor with no kids.
Yeah.
And that man's so transparent. He just did a video that I was like, at first I was like, I don't want to see kind of that, just because, you know, I was busy at work and I was like, okay, I figured it's going to kind of take my mind off. So I get a minute to chill at work. And I started the video while I'm like eating my lunch and I'm like, 29 minutes, he about to talk about his divorce. But I'm telling you, I couldn't even stop for the full 29 minutes. Like I watched that sucker all the way through because I appreciate your transparency on that. There are too many young African Americans, male and female, who refuse to touch on that topic. And I appreciate that you also said in your IG that, you know, even if the tables were turned, you would have still, you know, been transparent about that story. So I appreciate that. We all been there a time or two. I just haven't been there in the line of marriage.
Right. That's true.
How about, I have a few questions, but I want you to go ahead and just kind of introduce yourself however you want about your career, your experiences, whatever you want to dive into, and I'll just shoot some questions in between.
Okay. Well, yeah, I feel like you pretty much touched everything. So I don't have to say too much, but yeah, currently I am at Accenture and I work in recruiting, specifically campus recruiting. So recruiting interns and, you know, any students that's graduating into entry-level roles for the company. And actually my last day is tomorrow at Accenture. So
I saw that on your IG story. I didn't want to take your thunder.
Y'all are getting the tea as far as where am I going next. So my next stop will be Google. So I'll be working at Google starting at the end of the month.
Doing for Google, talent acquisition as well?
Yeah, I'll be doing early careers
that's
there.
That's cause for a celebration right there.
Yeah. So after this, I'm gonna definitely give me a drink too.
Hey man, I know that's right. Will you be doing that virtually, or will you have to like report to a location?
Oh, they have a small office here in Atlanta, but primarily I'll be working from home. We're having to go into the office probably a little bit at the beginning of the year. But yeah, right now it's virtual. Yeah.
Nice. I know that you're super duper excited because I think the biggest things, folks are telling me they can only see me now. Give me just a second. I'm sorry. Gosh, just when we're talking about some good stuff. All right, y'all. Huh?
I said, can they hear me?
Can y'all hear him? Hey, Joy. Hey, Review Chic. But I'm so sorry y'all can't see him. Let me see if I can get him through because it told me that I had him through. So let me try going back to Zoom real quick.
Okay.
So y'all, so they can hear you, they just can't see you. So Corey, I'm not seeing my option to go into YouTube anymore. It's just telling me stop. But it's telling me stop live stream, which means I must be live streaming. Okay, here we go. Corey, say something and let me see if they can see you. I put it on speaker's view, and I think that's all it took.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
just go ahead and start telling us all about your Google opportunity and like what
Yeah.
allowed you to have that opportunity and how'd you kind of, find that opportunity.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be moving to Google at the end of the month, within early careers, primarily on their Tech Plus team. And I'll be trying to hire entry level talent, so interns and college kids straight out of college into their associate product manager roles for their Google Pixel phones team. So that'll be pretty cool.
Oh, that would be super cool. Cause
Um,
oh, sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I learned, and when I tap into recruiting, because again, I've never done full-fledged recruiting, but I've done, recruiting obviously in the generalist world, in the director world, that type of thing. And I noticed that I recruit better on two things. So the first thing is if I truly believe in the organization and I like them,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah,
I don't
that's
like
number
lying to
one.
people. So it's like I'm not going to recruit you into something I'm not even happy in. But I think that the other thing I learned is that when I get an opportunity to see like a day in the life of a position versus just getting a requisition, getting a job description, and just going to find somebody based on that, when I can see the everyday duties that they do and their kind of interactions, then that helps me to recruit even better. So do you think you'll get that opportunity to be able to kind of see what a day in the life of would be for that incumbent?
Yeah, I know I'm supposed to be working heavily with the vice president of like Google Pixel. So I think he'll probably make sure that I can get some insight on what's going on to help me better find, a fit for it. So but yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. You definitely need to know what's going on in a day in the life to help you, be able to recruit those type of candidates.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit easier. Can you tell us just overall with all of your experiences, you got a ton of talent acquisition experience, right?
Hmm.
With all of your experience across all of your platforms, can you kind of give us an overview of what your day-to-day activities are like or what you generally expect? I know probably just like me, every day is a little bit different, but kind of what do you expect on a regular basis in your daily duties?
Yeah, yeah. Talking in the recruiter role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so on the day to day, it's a lot of it depends on the seasons. With campus recruitment and early career, a lot of the stuff kicks off in the fall, like when school starts. So we want to make sure that we're kind of well, right now we can't be on campus hosting events, but we'll do virtual events like interview prep, resume workshops, info sessions about the company at career centers, different things like that. Attend career fairs. And then we'll have a period where we're starting to interview for roles, so internships and then full time. So a good bit of my job is, for one, looking through resumes to seeing any early candidates that I would want to meet with, um, looking at the requisition to see if there's anybody I just need to instantly reject just based off of experience or not
Mm-hmm.
having enough experience to kind of clean it up. And then after that, I'm usually emailing and calling a lot. So I'll call candidates, set up an introductory call, um, tell them a little bit about the company. Sometimes I do screen calls where it's like an introductory interview before moving them to the next step. I will be the person to do that. And other than that, it's a lot of other things. That's the primary job. But in recruiting, of course, you have to run programming. So running events, you also have to run an internship program. We have student leadership programs that you could
Wow.
volunteer about too. So just the recruiting part is one part of the job, but you also have other pillars as well. So that's why I say campus recruitment and early careers recruitment is more extensive because you have different layers versus experience hire. You're just looking for someone with the experience and the background, call them, put them through the interview process. It's really nothing else after that. But early careers and campus recruitment, you could be with these students and these candidates for a good little minute, especially if they're interns and then you want to turn them from intern to full time. You typically end up building a relationship with them as well. Oh no,
Sorry,
you good.
that's Amazon with my damn
Hey,
webcam. And of course, my dog, she just, she thinks she a pit bull. I'm sorry.
it's all good.
Riley, Riley, she just swear up and down. She's a pit bull. And as I'm seeing my Amazon alerts, I just knew for sure. I didn't even think about her. I just thought, well, damn, y'all too late.
It's all good.
But it sounds like, Riley, come on, girl. Sorry. It sounds like the biggest thing is that recruitment and all of your recruitment, or majority of your recruitment, is so focused on like students and interns and kind of entry level positions, right? It really sounds like you have a lot that's very, very similar to me, who have worked with entry level positions as well as experienced positions. So I went to a conference one time and I was watching Riley.
Riley said she want to act up.
Riley trying to get on the live, honey. Riley trying to get on the live. Come here, girl. Come on, mama. Come on. And so I think that the direction I was going in was that I went to a conference and I watched this HR professional. And one thing that I didn't realize I did that was so right was that she was like, recruiters on average spend 7 seconds looking at your resume. Do you think that's a true depiction? And tell me why you think so.
Yeah, I would say on average it's about 7. I could really look at it less than that.
I know, right?
Sometimes, because honestly, especially in the consulting industry, which now I'm moving more so of the tech industry, but in the consulting industry, there's a certain format that we kind of look for. So if the format is off, as soon as I open the resume, then I'm not really looking at it. It has to be one page,
really?
Have to be spaced right, and things like that. So if it's not really spaced right, if it's not one page in the consulting industry, then we just kind of put it to the wayside, and maybe not throw it away, but I'll just put it to the side and then look at other resumes that I have and then come back to those. And if it's very, very strong, I'll probably take a double pass at it. But yeah, like 7 seconds, I can look at it. But
and remember that's the average. So that, like you said, when you go back to some of them, or when one really, really, for me, when one really, really stands out, it kind of stops me. So I think that's what makes the 7 seconds even higher, because there's so many that we're only on for like 2 seconds, on a resume. Right.
Yeah, that's true. And I think for me, I do like 2 pass throughs. So I do a quick one, like you said, around 7 seconds, and then I'll put that in a pile, and then I'll put the nose in a pile, and then I'll go back to the ones that I put in a pile and do a little bit longer of a look and see if there's anything that I need to pay attention to from there.
Wow. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing you just shocked me with is I didn't realize that like organizations look for a format. Did you notice that throughout your career, or just with a particular organization?
Yeah. Throughout the consulting industry, yeah. And that's I've only had recruiting experience in the consulting industry. So I feel like that's when I really learned that, it's a particular format, it's a particular way that the resume should have to look. Now, when I move over to Google and is in the tech industry, I'll have some more updates once that happens.
I know, right? And I think that the biggest thing that I feel so bad for people is I get a lot of folks that are like, man, I'm really trying to start my career in HR. I'm really trying to, I think majority of my audience is so focused on starting in HR. And so I always tell people that the easiest way to start in HR, because you've been doing this for quite some time, and so have I. I think you've been total, it's been for you about 8-ish years, 6 years.
It's about, well, if we count recruitment, I would say about 3.5 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. But the University of South Carolina was more so like admissions council type recruiting.
Yeah. So, but it still takes the same technique though. So no need to water down the experience, because that's a very, very, very prestigious school. So you're still going through a lot of folks that you're declining. But of course, you're not looking at a resume, you're kind of looking at other things. Right. But I think that over time, I feel so bad, because I always tell folks that the easiest way to get into recruiting is, obviously like an HR assistant or HR coordinator, which is going to take the pay down so much. But if folks can't risk that finances, like they can't say, okay, I'm gonna just build up until I can get there, then it would be like recruiting or a staffing agency or talent acquisition. And so tell me how you were able to kind of get your foot in there. Do you think that USC made that door open for you? Or do you think that as you see more folks come on a team, kind of tell me what you think their background is, or what you think, led them into this opportunity?
Yeah, I think for me, having that experience at the University of South Carolina and working at a school, I think that gave me enough experience to kind of get into campus recruitment. Maybe experience hire probably would have been a little bit more challenging. But like you said, my first role in recruiting was a coordinator role myself. So I originally applied for a recruiter role at Deloitte, and then they was like, they have a coordinator role available that they think I would be a good fit for. And I was like, coordinator, what is that? So I did that on a contract actually. So I wasn't even full time. I was on a contract. So I was a contract coordinator for about 6 months, and as that contract was ending, they was going to extend it, but I was already networking, you know. So I ended up talking with Accenture, and they was like, "Well, we have a full time recruiter role opening up. If you would like to take that." I was like, "Oh yeah, let me hop on over there." So
You get it. Let me
um,
get it.
yeah, so that's how I got into it. So like you said, it's the best way to get into it is either taking on a contract recruiter role or a coordinator role. Like I said, the pay will be a little bit different, but it's definitely a way to get your foot in the door. And usually, you don't have to be a coordinator for too long.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't take long to get those skills, get that experience,
Yeah.
and I think that our economy, our nation is now moving into a direction where you don't have to be somewhere for 20 years for me to hire you. Like people are looking to see what skills you have and not necessarily, that you've had this extremely long tenure there. But
Mhm.
tell me some of your challenges and working in talent acquisition, personal, professional. Like, what are some of the challenges, some of the things that kind of grind your nerve in talent acquisition?
I guess one challenge is growth. You know, it's hard to kind of grow within talent acquisition because you could have a lot of recruiters, but it's not many lead roles, it's not many manager level roles. So sometimes growth can be a little bit challenging depending on what company you're at. But personally and professionally, I would just say having hard conversations with candidates, like not getting a job or having to relay them they won't be getting an offer and things like that. Those are always challenging to me because
But I mean,
I,
sorry.
I want everybody to get an offer, but of
I know,
course, you know,
I know, I know.
having those conversations can be challenging. You know?
Well, I think that happens more so when you've had interactions with them, right? So you've done a thorough phone screening, maybe you've progressed them to the next level, and you've had kind of a relationship building with them. Is it harder then, or you mean just when we're doing that automatic reject, it's hard?
Yeah, I mean, like once we kind of put them through the process and things like that. So if I've had a conversation with them, or maybe like before COVID, if I was on campus and you know I've talked with students and constantly see them on campus and they go through the interview process and then they happen to not make it through, and having to call them and be like, unfortunately, you know, we can't move you forward or something like that. Sometimes that's a challenging thing to do if you've built those relationships and kind of,
Yeah,
I guess, promoted the company to them, but now it's not accessible. So
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think some of the things that made me unique in my career is that when I have to do those conversations, I always try to give folks resources. As long as I know, sometimes you've built enough of a rapport where you find a comfort level, or I guess I use discernment to say what things I can say and can't say, because I never want to look like I'm just deterring you from the company. Obviously,
right.
your leaders want to be like, nah, don't tell them to go anywhere else. They got to stay here. But at the end of the day, somebody still got, somebody they got to feed, bills they got to pay, a life they have to live. And so I've always been in the habit of giving people other resources or kind of telling them what held them back. Now, I know that these days is kind of weird. We've kind of been on an employer recruitment type of world and an employee one. And now we kind of started where we have way too many applicants for a position. And now it's like,
Right.
where the hell y'all at type of thing.
Right.
But when it's that way, it's difficult to do it because you're going through so many and you have so many. Everybody kind of has a process that they have to go through, and that makes it difficult to make this one-on-one experience. But I definitely try to give some other alternatives to folks, of things that they can do. What are some things that you feel have like shocked you or wow you in your career that really kind of been like, man, I didn't realize I was walking into this?
I would say a lot of the tedious work, you know, when you think about recruitment, you're just thinking about, okay, I'm talking to candidates and this and that, but you don't think about the systems that you have to use to back end, moving them from this portion to this portion in the back end to make sure that they're updating the system, creating offer letters and negotiating salaries. And like, you don't really think about those parts of it. So I think when I first joined, I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, wow, I got to do all this. But once you get used to it, it's second nature, but it's something that you don't really think about. And then also just competing with other companies, but you know, it's not bad mouthing companies at the same time. So, but yeah, I think that's the main thing, just the tedious work, and also just having to have organizational skills, you know.
Yeah. And I have you hit on that because I literally am like editing a video now that should have gone out already. You know, okay, sidebar. I need to stop doing these full-on like recordings and not realizing my mic ain't all the way plugged in. I recorded a whole video, no damn mic.
Man.
It's gonna happen with me twice. So that video was supposed to be out Tuesday because obviously I'm pretty sure your analytics show that that's the day everybody's online. Mm-hmm. And that ain't happened. So they'll get a little touch of that tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, just the tedious work, and also just having to have organizational skills, you know.
Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You can hear yourself? I have you on that because I literally am like editing a video push now. Push it out so that they can see you because they were saying they couldn't see you. Sidebar. But now I need to stop doing these. Okay, here we go. What I'm gonna do is just stop and mute it so that they can see you. Okay, good. Yay, they can hear and see us. Yay. So I just turned. Yeah, I think if some people are saying they could, some people are saying they can't. Like, then the chat like paused on that side, so I couldn't see their responses, and they were responding like a fool. That's crazy. Y'all, I'm trying to learn this thing, so please don't judge a girl. Like, I'm getting there. I'm so happy to see Corey. Give me 2 seconds. I know I don't know. Well, you said you've never gone live, but I'm pretty sure in your audience you see a lot of the same comments. You see a lot of the same people like reposting your videos, promoting it out on IG and stuff like that. I haven't gotten to your level, but I do got some folks that love HR. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
And so I am appreciative for them. So I just want to say hi to them real quick. Candace, I'm so happy you're on. Thank you so much for being here. I'm pretty sure you had the chat going, but Cardell, you are really, really in the house today. And so thank y'all so much for being on here. Dej, again, never do I take your support for granted. And so Cardell actually has a question. So I'm not going to keep going on my questions. As I see questions here, I'm going to pop it out because this really is for them. But Cardell's question is there a time when you gambled on a talent and they failed background checks? What did you do? And did the situation affect you?
Let me see. Failed background checks. I think I just had
of the whole hiring process. Like, do you do the background checks?
We have a team that do them, but I can get a report and they'll let me know if they passed or not. But I only had one candidate where it was a little iffy with the background check, but it ended up getting resolved. So, but yeah, I really haven't had any issues with the background check. So
I'll pump in on that question a little bit. Because not only have I had a couple, but I also am a consultant for a background screening company. So I really dived into it some years ago because I was working for a local municipality that didn't have one in place. And so we were kind of rolling, trying to get that together. And I initially always had folks either pass or folks that knew that whatever was coming up. So it's almost like folks get a little nervous and they're like giving you all the information because they know you're going to find it. Or if they find it, then they are easily like, no, I got this situated. And so those situations aren't difficult for me, but the ones that have been difficult for me, and I talked about it on my background screening video. I think I have a couple of background screening videos where I've talked about this just a bit. I actually worked for an organization and the partner had highly suggested someone, and when this person came on board, or I had already we were spiraling the situation because we were trying to like quadruple our employee count, and I think we were preparing for the damn Accenture contract, to be honest with you, and it was just crazy that we were just getting everybody in. So we had a very, very, very experienced type of industry. It was clinical research. But this guy had put on his resume, which I filtered into the background screening, that he had more than a number of years experience. And for that position, they had to have 10 years of experience. And he also had said that he had done this work for X number of years as a contractor. And he said that he was working on his master's degree. The position only required a bachelor's degree. When I did his background screen, it came to find out he only did 12 hours in a bachelor's degree. And he couldn't produce any tax forms to say that he worked for himself. And the other organization that he listed said he had never worked for them. So he literally had no experience pretty much for a position that was going to pay like $130,000 a year. And I'm calling him to let him know this information, because in background screenings, you have to give them what they call an adverse action, where they get a specific number of days to respond and show that if this is right or wrong. And so we send those out by email, but we also send those out by mail. I just prefer to send it both ways. And so we sent it out. All this time is going by. I'm calling him, I'm emailing him, not getting a response. So I finally just sent this long email explaining that I couldn't give him the job because it was only like days before he started. And I asked him, hey, to send your equipment back, your laptop and everything else. Well, all of a sudden he called me back and he was like, this isn't true because I have done X, Y, Z. Well, when I broke the information down to him, the silence was golden, because it just tell me that this got to be right. And he couldn't produce anything. So I would think that situation was going to be hard for me. But the fact that he couldn't answer me because he was in China. And the second thing was, because I'm like, there are people out here that really need a job, like trying to take care of a family. And here you are just thinking everything's done. Like, I've used the good old boy system, so all is well. I also had, and so that one didn't really bug me all that much, because it was just like, it felt like a privileged situation. It was like, those of us who aren't privileged, we have gratitude throughout the entire process. But it seemed like he had taken that for granted. We had another guy where he had failed. He didn't fail. Background screeners is kind of it's a weird situation, because you're kind of looking at areas that they can be of liability to the organization. So it's hard to say, oh, you do this, you do that, you ain't ever getting a job. It's just not that way. It depends on the position and what you're doing with that company. But this guy had several domestic violence charges and quite a few like drunk driving charges, DUIs. Now, he had satisfied these 2 DUIs, but they were like recent. And so we have our folks travel at that organization. When folks traveled a lot, they would rent cars a lot, and we just didn't feel comfortable with that. And we felt like he couldn't control himself. So, I mean, it just sounds like a perfect storm for someone that's working so autonomously. So that one was difficult for me, because he genuinely sounded like he was trying to get that stuff situated with the CDB, the DUI and everything else. But I had some that actually made me realize that I was so naive in life too, because I had one that when we first started with background screenings, we compared them against the police department, and the police department didn't find stuff that we found. And I was like, oh, I thought the police know everything. Y'all ain't know that, So that kind of threw me off. And so Raven jumped on, and one of her comments was like saying that it is best to know different aspects of the business. So, and she's a Gamecock, so she wanted to just let you know she's a Gamecock.
Hey, that's what's up.
I did not know she was a Gamecock. Oh, my cousin Don is on. He works in talent acquisition, but Corey, I can't get his ass on this computer for nothing here. I had to like trick him to get on my blog, but I'm so happy he was able to get on. And so I think that I have never worked in just specifically campus recruiting. And though I expected that from USC, I was a little like shocked to see that you carry that title into other positions. Does that mean that you're literally going on campus to find folks, or just kind of break that job title down to me?
Yeah, it just means that our source is campus. So we're only looking at students for internships and anyone that's a senior looking to graduate and start a full-time role. So we don't look at any experienced hire. We don't look at anyone who essentially graduated probably more than a year or 2 ago. So they would fall into the campus recruitment, early talent.
Oh, early talent. So at Google now, you'll be finding more experienced talent, or?
Still early talent, yeah.
Still early talent? You like working with the early talent, or do you feel like that's just where life is taking you?
I like it. I feel like the candidates are way more easier to talk to, way more appreciative of the opportunities. You know,
Yeah,
college students are looking for internships and opportunities. So, and I can relate to them a little bit more. So, yeah, I like the
yeah,
campus
yeah.
recruitment.
And that's something. Excuse me. My old organization, we started this big like recruitment strategy, and we mainly partnered with local tech colleges, well, in the state of South Carolina, tech colleges and universities, because we were looking primarily for nurses. We were looking for surge tech students, things like that. And I had always kind of recruited on the professional side. Now that we still did professional positions as well, but we just had a high drive for it. And you know how that is when you kind of
Mhm.
know it's going to be either some turnover or it's going to be a
Coming
lot more
up,
work. You need more hands on deck.
yeah.
Now they're like, nah, we increased this requisition. We need 50 people versus the 2 we told you about last week. But anyhow,
Mhm.
um, so one thing I noticed that I liked about college recruitment is that they're so eager, even in the space now where we have such a diverse age group of college students. Like everyone isn't fresh out of high school all the time, right? But there's some folks that have kind of lived life a little bit and returned, and they're just so eager, in my opinion, and they are so easily able to you can come up with unique ways of recruiting them. Because one thing I kind of noticed was like, I was like, man, these job fairs be busting the girl ass because you got all of this. I don't know if before COVID, I don't know if you had the same experience, so definitely tell us about it. But it was like people don't understand what goes into going to a job fair and getting at that table before them. Like you got all the stuff you packing up, all the stuff you ordering before you get there. You
Yeah.
have all of these resources.
Swag bags, everything.
Man, listen, and then they come and look at your table like, oh, you out of mouses, or oh, you out of, earbuds. I'm like, half I can only take so many cross campus, but
That's true.
and
Facts.
I'm trying to give a diverse amount of free stuff for you. But I know that that was one of the biggest things I know is that they were kind of easy to please, and they truly listened to you. It wasn't where with adults that are looking for their career or trying to start their career. A big thing that they're trying to do is they know that they need to stand out. So it's almost like they're talking to you and they're not paying attention to what you're telling them.
Mhm.
They're so
That's
busy,
true.
as soon as they get something, they're ready to respond and say how they can do it or how it easily applies to them or how they've experienced it in the past. But I feel like college students truly, truly listen to what you're saying and they respond on it. I mean, I've had opportunities where I've gone back to college campuses like a year or two later, and they've told me how they've truly listened to me and they did the externships I told suggested to them. They started the part-time jobs I suggested to them because I try to give folks something back when I know I looked at this resume, it's not gonna go further
Right.
than me.
Right, right.
So
That's true. Yeah, it's definitely a different dynamic. So I've been on maybe one experience hire project here at Accenture, and it's like night and day. And I was like, never again. I need to stay in campus.
what's the difference between the two? What do you feel like the difference is between the two?
I mean, experience hire, like you said, the age range is a little bit, it's just a different demographic,
It's a
just
different deal.
a different feel, way more negotiation, way more talks about benefits and health packages and things like that versus early talent. They don't really be asking too many questions about that. They just ready to start.
I know they're like, oh yeah, you can pay me $2. All right, fine. Otherwise, somebody else like, they just come from a job where they're making like 40,000, they ready for 80,000. You're like, hold the hell up, how we get this so quick? You
Yeah,
know?
and it takes more negotiation because experience hire, you could be like, okay, we're offering you 60,000. They could be like, well, I'm currently talking to a company and they offering 65. And you
Oh
got to go back
yeah.
and talk to the hiring manager, be like, well, they offering 65. What can we do? Be like, well, tell them that instead of this, you can give them an extra bonus. And then I'll be like,
Hey, goddamn.
God.
Just take your job
Right,
off. Stop this shit. Take your goddamn job. Leave me alone. I got to
right.
go get more candidates. You ain't the only one I'm bringing in. You
Right,
need
right.
me.
So imagine doing that with like multiple candidates back to back to
Oh,
back.
imagine. I've
So
done it. I've done it. I'm
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh God.
So,
I
but
had I
yeah.
had people I've had people ask me for my explanation of benefits, where it tells you what you're gonna pay to the doctor's office, like when you get there, and show me like another company's one and be like, well, I see this and da da da. And I'm like, it just ain't no reason why I should be going through all this. Either you're gonna
Right.
take this job or you're not.
Yeah. Exactly. Which I don't blame them for asking, but some of those questions would be like, eh.
Yeah, no, I don't, and I don't blame them for asking. So let me stop, because I think this is kind of where we're getting into recruiter lingo. So just one more thing, my cousin, he's a Gamecocks class of 2010. He said, "Hey, what's up?"
Hey.
And you had some folks that told you congratulations on your new opportunity.
Oh, well,
So,
thank you.
but I think that's the biggest thing. When you get into the repetition of doing it, your mind is kind of focused. It's almost like tunnel vision. And I think that people don't understand that you just don't always have that kind of time to devote
Right.
into what they need. And then the thing about it too is there's a time in the recruitment process and the interviewing process when you're going to do that. So I expect to devote some time to you after you've gone through, background screen. Well, let me do it in order. After you've gone through applications, I've gone through the phone screening, we've gone through these interviews, we've presented an offer, and now you have this background screening, and we know that you're a candidate that we want. I think that's the time when I want to talk about all of that. But I think that I feel like where we are in life right now is kind of taking us in a direction of, well, they do have all these other job opportunities. So it's such a competition. So it's like, well, I got to hear what other people are doing. Sometimes, I mean,
Right.
it's helped me with knowing what the competition is like to know how we should change stuff. But, they get old.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Like, give me a break already. How do you balance now this is a question for me. I do not see it in the chat, and I just don't know, if you mind me asking this question. So if you don't mind, then cool. But I want to know, how do you balance your like YouTube life along with your full-time career?
Honestly, everything that I do is usually after 5, or if
Yeah.
I'm working from home and I'm having a light day, I can easily knock a quick edit out or do something during the day. So I think the flexibility of working from home really helps.
So you got
But if I, huh?
you got quick edits. You want me to send my video over?
Now I'm quick with it.
All right. We short out. No, that's what you. No, and I think now I kind of figured you were going to go that direction with that, because I guess that's what we all do. But I think that another thing is, because I'm the director of human resources, I really I pride myself, even before becoming a director, I pride myself on showing kind of the same thing to employees, like just being authentic, being transparent, but also showing them that I'm going to do what I expect you to do as well. And I my biggest, hardest thing, so I started my YouTube channel with my old organization, but starting at this one, as I'm applying to like tech places or online places, yeah, I want them to know I had that experience because I kind of can speak the lingo, that type of thing. But other places that are not in that industry, I think it was like weird for me, because it was like, what if first of all, I'm giving away all my EEOC rights, right? Because they can see I'm a Black female in the South, da da da. So that was out there, but I was ready to risk that. I was fine with that. I think the name Tamika gave it away enough.
Right.
But my other problem is just my old organization, had hinted towards, my CEO said that he would have liked if I had done this type of initiative, like my YouTube channel for his organization. And I didn't want to marry the two. I didn't want to intertwine the two. Like, for me, this is my baby, this is my choice. And I really, and I'd like to hear, I believe I know why, but I'd like to hear why you start your YouTube channel. These folks might not want to hear that. They come on here to hear my talent, so I ain't gonna hold them folks up. But but for me, I really got so frustrated. And I meant to respond to this when I asked you about like your challenges or the things that shock you. One of the things that shocked me throughout my career is, and I talk about this on so many videos, but anyhow, one of the things that shocked me most is that I would give a job offer, and you're more in the novice level experience. I am more in the tenure level experience when I'm doing recruiting, but I would give a job offer to, a white person, and that's where we hitting all them heavy negotiations, right? We hitting all of this. Let me see what the benefits look like. Let me see what your PTO look like. Let me see how much, when am I going to finally get vested in 401k and all these things, right? But it just so many times I present a job offer to a Black person, and I'm probably only giving them not even 2 seconds more than what they're making. and they're like, thank you so much. I was hoping I get the job. As bad as I want to be excited for them, I would be so frustrated because I'm thinking just that like you have the opportunity just like I do. You know your pay scale and you kind of know your window. Like, okay, if somebody has a little bit more experience, and I don't know, maybe this is different because I've worked with experienced people, but I don't just start everybody at the same rate. You know, I look at where is your experience? Where can I see that you have great transferable skills? Where is the learning curve going to be shorter? Am I expecting to use less resources on you? Am I expecting you to help develop the culture to some degree? You know, unintentionally, just by being them. Those non-tangible things are so valuable to me. And I always try to feel like people should get paid for those. Obviously, degrees, certifications, that type of thing too. And it's like, man, I got a window and you just taking the bottom of the barrel that I'm giving you. And that really triggered me to start my channel because I was like, more of my people need to know. I think another problem,
Negotiate, yeah.
yeah, negotiate, like you know your worth. Like, even if I'm gonna just throw out numbers just to throw out numbers, but even if $40,000 a year working for you, push and see if you can get 50. You just don't know. I get it. That probably take care of your life all the way well. But if you have all of this experience, like put value into yourself. And that just used to kill me. And I think the next thing that kills me is also that I would see perfectionism in minorities. And I'm not saying just Black folks, minorities, period. Asians, you know, Hispanics, I would see them push for that perfection. And I'd see a white person that just be like, yeah, I'm here. So that's enough. And that type of thing used to irritate the shit out my nerve, man. And that could be a Charleston thing, but I'm like, pull up. What
Yeah,
are
I
we
agree
doing?
on that. Definitely got to negotiate for sure. And like when I did that experience hire project, we did have like a pay scale like that. In early campus, our structure is pretty set forward. So it's one set salary for everyone, no matter what,
I would
because
imagine. Yeah.
because everybody is graduating at the same time. But yeah, an experience, that pay scale and experience and what you can bring to the table, that kind of affects the wave a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. And I think that's one reason I wouldn't mind working with novice level like career folks because at the end of the day, like, I mean, you ain't got much negotiating to do.
Exactly.
But Kenneth Lee is on here. He has been a great follower of mine. And Kenneth also works in recruiting. And I think he's worked primarily in like medical recruiting. But he said that Corey is making me want to switch to recruiting for early career recruitment. My talent acquisition jobs are never this simple.
It's simple. I'm trying to say, it's simple. It's simple in the sense of the type of candidates you talk to and negotiation things like that. But outside of that, as far as like programming events, being on campus, talking to students, and building those relationships, that's where the tedious work kind of comes into. But
Yeah,
with
yeah,
experience hire, you really don't have to worry about none of that. You don't have to worry about leadership programs and programming a summer analyst program and walking them through that, making sure they doing good throughout the summer while also still recruiting. Like it's a lot of things that kind of get stacked up when you're an early campus recruiter versus experience hire. You kind of just focused on filling those roles. You don't have to
yeah,
worry about nothing else.
yeah, yeah. I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, definitely. He also, and so I think that Kenneth just left from the medical industry and now he is working at Google as well, either Google or Microsoft. And they're a little delayed, so I couldn't just throw it in the chat and ask him when. But um, he said, especially with recruiting software engineer managers. So I would, any manager going, they all give you hell. Like they,
Any technical, any
and,
technical.
and technical too. Technical, and you got experience, you got leadership. That's just, yeah. And I mean, some of them are easy. Like some of them are really easy, but I can't blame people for wanting to, kind of do their thing. But I want to ask you, do you see hiring managers favoring like a certain age? I know that your requisitions are primarily focused on campus level students, but you work with a whole team of folks that are recruiting experienced and entry level folks. Do you notice that when you get more into those experienced careers or what have you, that the hiring managers seem to focus on a particular age group or a particular demographic, anything?
I wouldn't say a particular age group. Good thing about Accenture, we're very big on diversity and inclusion. So sometimes we try to all the times we make sure that we could get in, a certain amount of Black women, Black males, all of that. We want to make sure everyone is represented. So those hiring managers kind of make sure that they are looking at the projects that's coming up and making sure that they have representation. Come to us to make sure that we're having at least some of those demographics in the pipeline.
Yeah. I think that speaks volumes for them. So you might not want to talk about this. You already getting real notice?
Yeah, my last day tomorrow. Yeah.
Because I'm all in it, and I didn't even wait to be like, they might find out tonight. But
nah, they know.
I was just wondering, did you go seeking this opportunity, or was this one that you were like, that was kind of presented to you maybe through networking or something?
Yeah, recruiter just reached out to me on LinkedIn, actually. And
then, talk about
the conversation,
it.
And then
I be trying to tell folks, like, if y'all want a job, make sure y'all stuff together. Tell me about this. How did they reach out to you?
Yeah, they just, LinkedIn is the place for
professionals and money.
If I could show my phone, you probably could see. Well, you probably can't see, but all of this is recruiters reaching out to me.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm the same way, but I get a lot of recruitment stuff. But now that I'm in this director role, I get a lot of sales stuff. Like they want to sell me benefits, they want to sell me their software, like a ton of sales and webinars. I don't know. I almost kind of always used to get those before, and I don't know if that's a big COVID thing, but mine is so mixed because it's recruitment where somebody's seeking me out for a job, as well as sales where they want me to purchase their product, their software, whatever for my organization. And then the last thing is just like webinars out the yin yang. But I think that's a powerful thing. People, Indeed is great, but if you're looking for, kind of top of the top, that's where you want to go. So one thing I try to tell people is that with LinkedIn, when I was starting our LinkedIn job postings, we were nonprofit, and the bill was cut in half to $6,000 per quarter to post jobs there, right? Just to have like one seat and like 3 jobs posted, either 6,000 per quarter, 6,000. Actually, I think it was 6,000 twice a year because it was 12,000 for the year. And that was a cut in half total to post jobs there. So I try to tell people, like, if somebody has a job posted on LinkedIn, that company got a good salary bracket because recruitment already expensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can pay $12,000 for this one platform, now let's not even mention if you go to Indeed and see them there, you go and get an email from, ZipRecruiter, and the same company is there. If they got that much money to promote these jobs, they should be able to wiggle, some coins this girl direction. And you just got to keep that LinkedIn up to date. Like, I don't think people know how powerful that is. How often do you find yourself on? Because I know what from the back end, I don't know if you recruit from LinkedIn, but when I recruit from LinkedIn on the back end, I can filter down my candidates to folks who respond quickly, are always active on LinkedIn or what have you. So are you active on there, or were you just following Google? Or because some of those are the ways that they find you. So I was just wondering if you did anything you think you may have done special besides have your experience, besides be you, like anything you may have done on a platform that kind of brought that attention to you.
I mean, other than setting my profile to actively looking, I think that's it. I think once I set it to that, that's when the recruiters started to come in. But yeah, that's actually, I got reached out to twice. I got reached out to one person, but they was talking about a contract recruiter role, and then at Google, and then a week after that, I got reached out to someone that was actually talking about a full-time recruiter role. So
oh wow,
I think I was just at the right place at the right time.
You got good though. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You got to position yourself. A lot of people don't realize that I can't even tell you how many people I would say, oh, find me on LinkedIn. And they'd be like, what's LinkedIn? Where you been at?
Right. Gotta be on LinkedIn. That's the plug.
That's the plug. I mean, if you want to grow your career, it definitely is. But Ken said he's also at Google. So he said, welcome, Corey.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, you got some. And I believe that, he started from the medical platform or what have you. My cousin who's on here, Don, he works in staffing. So definitely different from you, where he is, grinding for multiple companies at a time versus just one company. And he's getting talent from entry level all the way to experience. So he's here in Charleston right now. He's literally getting ready to move, but he recruits for primarily manufacturing. So it's like Google, not Google, Volvo, Mercedes, Fruit of the Loom, Walmart Distribution Center. He really has grown that organization from having that recruiting firm from having like 25 employees to over 400. So I'm super, super duper proud of him, especially here in like Charleston. Yeah, I'm like, man, where you find these folks? But he's a grinder. And so I'm happy I talked about him because I want to know this. I find myself, and it could just be me enjoying HR period, but I find myself hard to cut it off. So when I did heavy recruiting, particularly for organ and tissue donation, and I'm recruiting folks from, let's say they're in the West Coast and here I am in the East Coast, it was nothing for me to pick up a phone and like answer questions or do a phone screening or whatever at any time of the day. Do you literally cut it off when you're out the door?
Yeah, for the most part, I usually cut it off at 5, 6 o'clock. I'm usually cutting it off unless it's during the fall and we having like a lot of events and things like that. And I'm a little bit behind with some stuff. And most time I'm able to cut it off in around 5 or 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I guess fall and spring, I notice in the college realm. It's like everybody does this rush of fall career fairs or fall recruiting events, and then they do a whole lot of spring ones too. So
So the
that's
beginning of each
awesome.
season usually.
That's your season.
Yeah, the beginning of each season. So
The
fall
beginning
and
of this.
spring. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's for how students are kind of rolling in. But I'm gonna peep on YouTube really quick and kind of see if folks have any questions that I may have missed because it's 8 o'clock. I don't want to hold you up, especially when knowing that you came from another call and jump on this one.
It's all good.
Oh, Lord. Because I do see that one question popped on here that I didn't see earlier. And that question, and remember, they're a little bit lag behind us, but it was from a review sheet. And she said, I'm a new talent acquisition specialist and just joining back into this chat. Not sure if someone asked this yet, but any advice for new recruiters starting out recruiting corporate level jobs? So any advice you can give her on like the start of her career?
Yeah, I would say honestly, the biggest thing that I would say is just organization. That I feel like that was my biggest struggle. Is like organizing the candidates that's coming in. So trying to figure out your flow and between like having your own tracker and then also making sure that matches the system because people can easily get lost and people could be in one step in the system, but you have them in this step. So you kind of have to make sure that you're organized. And that way, whenever your hiring manager or someone comes to you, you can kind of just go straight to where you need to go without having to be like, I don't know.
So who is Corey Jones?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that obviously organization is huge. So I'm so happy we talked about that because I was wondering sometimes if I should pivot on that part of my niche. But it's so important in human resources and talent acquisition because like you say, you have to find a flow. And for me, finding a flow is finding an organization style that works. It's so many balls in the air. And so when you're saying move candidates around, for those folks who are just starting, he's really primarily focusing on the applicant tracking system. So what applicant tracking system do you guys use in your recruiting efforts?
We just moved to Workday.
Oh, y'all use Workday? Okay. I tapped on Workday in my video, but I've never used it.
I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend it? What do you not like about it?
It's from our old system, I think it was Taleo. It just seems a little bit.
I keep forgetting about Taleo. Okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
Taleo was talking.
yeah. I like to layer. I could get through things easily, but we use two systems. We use Aperture and Workday, and Workday just seems like a lot more steps than what I'm used to.
Yeah. So like kind of move candidates or what have you.
Move candidates, create offers, update information, all that stuff. It's a little more tedious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am gonna check just one more time because I don't know how I've been navigating this thing back and forth. I'm proud of myself. I'm patting myself on the
Hey.
back. I'm doing this on my little tiny MacBook because I messed up my camera with all the traveling I was doing prior to COVID, with work and stuff. I didn't really pay attention where I put my laptop, so I just threw it in my purse, right? Didn't care about the camera because I was like, who the hell I'm talking to on that thing, right? Um, Now here comes COVID, and like every meeting is a Zoom meeting, and
Yep.
my camera kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I actually had got the MacBook just because it was easier with editing, obviously, and
Mhm.
I was doing on my phone before. So I was using this, but one big suggestion: if you're gonna go live, because we tapped on this by you going live on YouTube, which I think you should do it.
I mean, I've been live before, but I've never been live with someone. So that's probably next.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, we learn together for sure. Um, but what this is, it forces me to go through multiple screens. So one thing I'm definitely doing next time is I'm gonna get on my computer where I got my second monitor because I can't see you and the folks at the same time. So
Gotcha.
just toggling back and forth. And guys, that explains to y'all why I may be coming on your questions late. I seen your responses late or what have you. And I just want to just thank Corey so much for, again, I appreciate your patience so you didn't have to have it. I appreciate you being on point every time I message you. And I was like, I just messaged him before I go to sleep because I'm gonna forget. I was expecting him to like respond back. I like him. I appreciate that as well. I
Yeah.
just appreciate you coming on and being my first like test dummy.
Hey,
Yay.
love
But
it.
I also appreciate you sharing that knowledge because I can guarantee you that it's so helpful to to my community, so helpful to just people in general. So I'm hoping that folks just stumble onto this live and get some value from it and understand kind of the avenue or the behind the scenes of talent acquisition. So it'll be great if we can get you on another time, who knows? But as of right now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna do a couple updates real quick for my little audience, my big audience. That girl hit on 1,000 subscribers, just so you know. That girl got
Hey,
500.
hey,
Okay.
that's what's up. That's a huge milestone, though.
I think so too. And my plan was just to, get there my first year, and my first year will be December 28th. So I'm kind of happy that I'm there early. But as
Got to
y'all can
make
see,
that
we had
money.
okay, and then I'm gonna do cuts, the ladies' version. You know what I'm saying? Be unboxing my cuts at the nice box. I had to figure out somebody gonna get a Christmas gift from Cuts because I just want to help support Corey. But I just had to. But as y'all can see, we had Corey tonight. We thank him so much for being on. We thank him so much for his patience. I just really, really appreciate it. I think we had a great, fruitful conversation. And on next Thursday, we're going to have Jenny from Jen's Plans on. And Jenny works full-time in full-fledged HR generalist, and she's been doing that for the last 15 years. But her niche on her platform, which is primarily IG, she also has a YouTube channel, but her primary niche is just organizing. She likes calendars, she likes stickers, she likes agendas. They're very, very aesthetic and beautiful. But as you guys, for those of y'all who came back on, which is a lot of y'all of repetitive names, then y'all saw that last week. She said, I do that journal or that post just to look great for my audience, but there's a whole another one I use for human resources. So happy that Corey and I touched on organization, because you guys are probably going to hear that as a recurring theme throughout these lives, throughout my channel, and definitely when you step into your career as well. And then I'm working hard to get Melanie Woods on September 30th, but again, still that date has not been confirmed. So if we don't have Melanie Woods, then Julie from Julie's Plans, who also works in human resources, has decided that she will be on as well. So I'm gonna toss that date her way, but we'll definitely have someone on for October 30th as well. And again, y'all, if you guys want to book a service with me and you want to know more about a one-on-one opportunity, you want me to revamp your resume, give it a fresh look, or if you want me to do a mock interview for you because, there's some things you need to pay attention to there, then definitely hit up my link tree. And it's also in the top of my banner on YouTube. It's in the description box. If you follow me on IG, it's in that description box. Book a service and let's get it rolling and get your career to the next level. Again, Corey, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
All righty. Have a good
All right.
night.